Welcome again to the Fantasy Grand Prix Takeover, where I invite someone in to basically take control of my Fantasy Grand Prix team and have a little chat about the upcoming race. This week we have auto journalist and author Elizabeth Blackstock. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. We got you in for Emilia Romagna, or
yes,
Imola, as
yes.
I think we're all gonna call it.
Yeah. The slightly easier to remember name.
How have you enjoyed the season so far?
We just talked about this. I haven't watched it. The first two races took place while I was at Indycar and then at NASCAR, so I had a conflict, and then lost my satellite reception, so Australia didn't happen because I didn't want to have to figure out how to find a stream at 1 a.m. So we are just rolling with it. I am finally just sucking it up and getting the F1 TV subscription for this weekend so that I can catch up and actually watch Imola and be do the thing I get paid money to do. So we're getting there.
Perfect. That's fine. You can go off reading about things. You do a lot of historical journalism as well, so yes. This is just very near.
Exactly. You can divine what happened based on some a little paragraph of words and the finishing order, and it's fine. It all works out.
Well, as we'll see later in the video, I did offer that you could handicap yourself slightly in this game, but I didn't realize quite how much you were going to do that.
I came in with nothing but vibes, so it's fine.
That's fine. Everyone has their own technique. So if people don't know you, your work is quite broad. You range from, like I said, these kind of deep historical pieces to more fun, lighthearted digs. So if people are looking for your work, what would they find?
They will find a little bit of everything. I do a lot of motorsport stuff. I'm the breaking news editor at Jalopnik, which means I get to assign a lot of the other stuff to everyone else, and I get to do what I want to do, which is write about race cars. But I do everything from automotive reviews to explainers on technology to hot takes. So there's a little bit of everything. And I've also written a book about rich energy, called Racing with Rich Energy, which is coming out in the fall of this year, hopefully October. So you can get that if you want to see me at my finest and best with my co-author Alanis King. And if you want to see me at my worst, just show up after a race weekend and see what I'm tweeting about.
About Racing with Rich Energy, which I'm particularly intrigued about. Some people were there and they watched it unfold. It's quite amazing how a soft drink company trying to sponsor a Formula 1 team can cause so much drama. But if people are unaware, what is it about Rich Energy that makes it worthy of an entire book? And maybe people who saw it, what else are they going to get from reading about it?
So Rich Energy there was so much that went on behind the scenes that I think people aren't aware of. That's what Alanis and I tried to bring forward in this book. There are a lot of lawsuits that happened that surprisingly didn't get tweeted about as they were happening. Which generally was Rich Energy's MO, just kind of tweeting through it, whatever ill was happening in the world. But we've talked to a lot of previous sponsors, and I think the main thing is that people are going to realize that this is not just, it wasn't just exclusive to Formula One. This kind of, it just happened, and you can kind of talk your way into it almost, which is predominantly what happened in this case, where William Story, the CEO of Rich Energy, just talked his way. He made himself a presence in the Formula One world and established himself somehow as a legitimate person that should be taken seriously and that has millions and millions of dollars from an energy drink that no one can find in stores anywhere. Which, I think we've talked to a lot of people. We did a lot of really fun interviews. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that's what we're bringing to light. So alongside what happened on track, that's only a chapter. We have 9 chapters. So if that gives you anything to work from.
That sounds exciting. I heard things from people that sounded quite spicy. So
there was so much in that we wish we could have added because we had a source tell us, but we couldn't use their name. They wanted to be on background, and then we also couldn't verify it with anyone else. So there's so much that, like, there might be a sequel. Everyone's like talking about how there's going to be a sequel. There literally might be, just because I think people will probably want to talk a little bit more about it when they realize, like, we didn't screw anyone over that we talked to, and out anyone that didn't want to be outed. So it's gonna be fun. There's so much of that story that it's like an iceberg. Like, we only got that little bit at the top, and the rest of it is just still going strong somehow. Well,
we know Rich Energy hasn't gone away yet. Every now and again they tweet a render of a Formula One car, Rich Energy over it. So maybe there'll be enough for sequels
Formula One
yet.
car or a super Formula car.
Sure,
that happened too. We're coming back to Formula One with this Japanese one instead. No big deal.
Very respectable outfit. I've actually got a question from someone. It'll bounce off that topic, but before we get to that, I just say, if you're at home and you want to write in to the show, to whoever the guest is, chainbear@gmail.com, and maybe we'll read it out next time. As I mentioned to you, we got quite a few emails for you. I kind of whittled them down and picked some out, and hopefully if we have time, we'll do a few and then maybe some quick fire ones, which I think at the end. Perfect. So, first question, email in from John. In light of your upcoming book, with Alanis King, I should mention. I think we did mention, but I'll just make sure she's not buried under. I wonder what you think of the current influx of crypto-related sponsors, and if you see or predict any parallels to the Rich Energy fiasco. What lessons, if any, have teams learned from that situation, or do you think money is still the most important thing, regardless of potentially risky relationships?
So I'm gonna plug this here. I'm actually working on a story on Jalopnik about this exact topic, where I'm breaking down the finances of every single crypto sponsor that currently is involved in NASCAR, Formula One, Indycar, and Formula E. So it's coming, but Formula One has never actually learned a lesson from taking risky sponsorship money. That's one thing we learned writing the Rich Energy book, was that this has happened countless times in the past. I don't know that there's a parallel to Rich Energy as much as there is to Moneytron, which was a magic machine that was designed supposedly to predict the stock market. And the founder of that, Jean-Pierre Van Rossum, purchased the Onyx Formula One team, and then got arrested because obviously you can't predict what the stock market's going to be. But in terms of the crypto, there's a risk to it, and I do think money talks. And I think in the crypto sense, you actually have quite a few people who have legitimate money that you can find, or at least there's an ample amount of money available for these people at the outset. Whether or not that actually lasts, as we've seen with the downturn in NFTs, how those multi-million-dollar NFTs are being sold for like hundreds at most. I think we're going to see something kind of like that happen. I don't know that it'll be so much as Rich Energy. Rich Energy was unique in the sense that everyone they tweeted through it. And there was a lot of just, you probably should have taken that to an email, not a tweet, but we haven't seen anything that forward, I think, quite yet from anyone on the crypto side. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that does come back to bite Formula One and other racing series in the butt.
I did find it quite amusing is probably the wrong word, because I have a big soft spot for Haas, but they did immediately jump into bed with Uralkali.
Yes, they did. They did in fact do that.
Which put them in different kinds of problems, which they're now not quite free of.
Geopolitical problems.
Yay. What will they do next?
A whole new one. Where are we going now? Like, it's only uphill from here, but I somehow feel like they can find somewhere else to go that will make things look even worse. So we'll see. All right, off the subject of dodgy sponsors, I've got an email in from Lena, and they write, it's about Imola. I was wondering what your personal opinions on the track are. Primarily on the width of the track surface itself, I find it to be quite narrow in places, and thus I would like a widening or a different venue entirely. Do you think it should be widened, or are you concerned that would take away some of the track's heritage if we do, or would you prefer it was just swapped out for a different track like Malaysia? Yeah, that's kind of my hot take is I don't think we should be racing at Imola. The reason why we went back there was because there's so much heritage and history to the track, not because the racing is good currently. And I think that we should, it's one of those tracks that I think a lot of people have very fond memories of and is very close to people's hearts. Like the way that I am with Watkins Glen, I would absolutely hate to see Formula One come to Watkins Glen and then take that track and turn it into something totally different than what it is right now. And that's kind of what I don't want to see for Imola. So my personal thought is like, yes, I would like to see it replaced with something else, it's like a difficult balance because you don't want it to just go to another boring track that gets purpose built and it sucks. But at the same time, like I don't want to see them destroying or, revamping in a way that takes away from what the track used to be, which again also is a balance because tracks are always evolving and have, the first iteration of Imola is not what we have currently. So it's my personal feeling is that we probably shouldn't be racing there. If you have to do so many, it provides good racing for other series, and Formula One does not need to race on every single racetrack in the world.
I agree with that. Sub question from me.
Yes.
Just based on that, should F1 be going to Monaco?
I have a hot take on this one.
Go on.
My answer, it started out as a bit where I was like, we should just stop. Like F1 should not go to Monaco anymore. And then it kind of started to be serious. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's the cornerstone race and it's the one with the most history. And it means a lot to a lot of people, but the racing is very not good. And it's a highlight of the year, but it's a highlight because of what's happening off the racetrack, not what's happening on the racetrack at this point in time. But that's similar to what it is going to be in Miami. I don't know that the racing is going to be as great in Miami as the parties will be. So it's one of those things where like, no, I don't think we should race at Monaco in the sense that I think the racing is boring, but it's also because you're racing on city streets, there's no way that you can necessarily widen or change that track in any significant way that's not impacting the way that the city of Monaco functions on its own. So, that track will always be there in the way that it has evolved since it was first used in, back in the early 1900s. But currently, I mean, if we're talking from a pure racing perspective, no, I think Monaco's boring.
I agree. Saturday's quite good, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like I saw people talking about it the other day, and it was like, you walk through Monaco and you walk the track just off, not a race weekend, and it's a magical, wonderful experience. I get that. But it's a magical, wonderful experience because you're not seeing the racing and you're seeing the history of the racing. I had friends who went to Monaco and they didn't actually watch the race from the racetrack or purchase tickets. They watched from a bar because it was inaccessible to actually get a race day ticket in a grandstand somewhere to watch. So, it's most people like it's one of those races where you're not going anymore physically in person to attend, to enjoy these things. The history, you're going on, a French vacation and you go to Nice and then you dip down to Monaco when there's nothing going on.
Hot take, tend to agree. I'm sure haters will come for it.
You're going to get so many emails now.
All right. I mentioned to people that you knew North American racing a lot better than I did, which is basically not at all. So I've got a question from ZZ, who encompassed the entire North American pronunciation of that letter. She asks, more drivers from the F1 pyramid have won races and titles in IndyCar than the other way around. Is there a difference in the driver's approach or role in IndyCar from F1, or does IndyCar just have a more open door to driver entries than F1?
Predominantly, I think what we're talking about here is the spec aspect of IndyCar. The chassis themselves are the same for every car. And what teams do with them, there's a little bit of, finagling that they're allowed to do to tweak that chassis, but they're not doing a large amount of in-house development to create the race car that you see on the track, which makes it a much more competitive series because everyone is like theoretically in the same level. Like you obviously still have stratification based on teams that have more money and that can afford to hire better drivers and that can afford to get good sponsors and afford to do more, tweaking in the factories and stuff. But, Formula One, you're generally doing all of that in-house. And if you're outsourcing it, you're getting, say, a Ferrari engine that's not the new one that Ferrari has this year. You're getting some offshoot of that, so you're not getting the best equipment. So there's a very different way, F1 is so much more stratified between the best and then the rest. IndyCars, there's the best and there's the rest, but they're much closer. You can actually legitimately expect a backmarker to win a race or do very well, where in F1 that's shocking and is generally the result of some chaotic outside experience as opposed to genuine pace. So I think that's a little bit more why you see F1 drivers going to IndyCar and succeeding. It's a little bit more of a level playing field, especially when you consider someone like Romain Grosjean, who's a wonderful driver and was great in was great in F1, but is actually winning races or getting close to winning races in IndyCar. That's because he's got a good car. He has, a Mercedes or a Red Bull equivalent now. And you're not, most F1 drivers, most IndyCar drivers aren't going over to F1. That's just not how that ladder works. It's very difficult, especially for an American driver, to get to F1. So you generally don't have that level of success. I think the last one we had was Alexander Rossi, and he had like 3 races in a manor. So it wasn't exactly great.
So we're talking that IndyCar allows a driver to make the difference much more than you could have
exactly. There's a little bit more of the there's no power steering in IndyCar, so you actually have to physically manhandle the car around. It's a little bit more difficult to drive. It's not as high tech. So it does depend a little bit more on what the driver is willing to put in than you would have with an F1 car. But, it's not to say that F1 is easier or more difficult. It's a different world. And that's why you're not getting that kind of crossover you would generally expect.
Okay. There's a bit of theme to these questions. It's all a bit pan-Atlantic.
Yes.
So Brendan asks, if you could wave a magic wand and make a current IndyCar driver swap seats with a current F1 driver, who would they be?
This is difficult. I know I want Daniel Ricciardo in IndyCar, but I like mostly everyone in IndyCar and I want them to stay there. So my answer is going to be Devlin DeFrancesco, who is not very good, but I think it's just because I don't care that if he's in IndyCar, and also I think it'd be funny to have 3 Canadians in Formula One. That's my answer.
I do like that, just completely sacrificing the F1
I'm sure
seat
he'd have fun.
Just to get Ricciardo in.
Him and Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi would have a good time, and Daniel Ricciardo would come over to America and he'd eat it up. It'd be great.
Sure, I mean, Stroll and Latifi aren't causing enough chaos and excitement by themselves.
We could use another Canadian. We need another roll of the dice every race. We need someone else to hit a wall every now and then.
I mean, I think that'd be funny with Liberty trying their best to Americanize F1 a bit more and just keep getting Canadians.
The northern part of North America, the very tippy top.
Okay. John asks, when do you think Formula One will next see someone from the USA compete for a full season? And do any likely names spring to mind? This is great for me because I'm hearing names I've never heard before. Yeah.
Everyone talks about Colton Herta. And I don't necessarily know that I think he's ready for Formula One. I think he still has a little refinement he needs to do. And I think Joseph Newgarden is too old for Formula One now. And I don't think he'd go anyway because he just had a baby and he's a very good advocate for IndyCar. So those are the 2 that kind of come to mind. But I don't actually think we're going to see an American in Formula One for a couple more years. I'd say 3 to 5. I just don't think there's anyone currently waiting in the wings to go, and I don't think that anyone in Formula One is going to take them. The only exception being Pato O'Ward, but he's from Mexico, so it's that other part of the Americas, not the United States.
It's do you think we're likely to see someone from IndyCar or like a more junior rung? I don't even know what the ladder is.
Yeah,
this is how.
Yeah, you've got you have the road to Indy in America, but I think if we're gonna get someone, it'd probably be Logan Sargent, who's in Formula 2 currently. He makes the most sense. It's just such it's very different to go from the IndyCar ladder to the F1 ladder. Like, they're open wheel cars, but they're both very different. I think Logan Sargent's probably the best one in that sense. I totally forgot about him. I'm sorry, Logan. I don't watch Formula 2. As you can tell, I haven't even watched Formula 1 this year. So
once you get F1 TV, you'll be fine. You'll come watch it all.
Yeah.
And finally, in the sort of quick roundy kind of things, we've just had the announcement of Las Vegas, to the shock of everyone who never saw that coming.
Yep.
But Daniel asks, if you were in charge of picking where the third US race was held and there were no restrictions on track choice or street layout, where would you have put it?
Ooh. I low-key like where everything is right now. I like Las Vegas, Austin, and Miami, but if I had to pick, I would probably pick somewhere on the West Coast. Not necessarily Long Beach, but I think the very, very far West Coast deserves a little bit of a break after having to wake up so early for all the European rounds for so long. It's time. We should just, I don't know, go back to Long Beach. Do it. It'd be fun.
Sure, that's probably fair. And that'll help.
Yeah.
Well, how far away is Australia from the West Coast? I feel like they, could get in on that as well.
Exactly. There you go. A benefit for everyone who usually gets screwed over.
There we go. Long Beach. And for those of you at home who know Long Beach circuit, it's not me. There's your answer. Okay. Right, I've rinsed your American expertise. Are you ready to do the old fantasy taking over part?
Let's do it. Let's
okay.
roll.
I'm going to start. We're going to look at a little bit how Peter did last week. I'll go into this a bit more in a bit, but Peter did inherit some of the good team that Dre and Diana put together in the first two tracks. Unfortunately, Verstappen let him down, as he let Dre down, as he probably let down quite a few people in this game. A bit of a poison chalice.
It's not been good.
It's not been great. I think he's currently 6th in the championship, which is not what we expected.
Oh, baby.
But Leclerc did bring in points once again, a healthy 41,
yes.
The biggest of anyone. Magnussen continues to drip feed some things in. Alpine could have done a lot better. I think Alonso expected a lot more, but it all just went a bit south since he crashed on Saturday. And again, Peter kind of put a lot of his eggs in the Red Bull basket. So in terms of predicting the race weekend, he only got half points for Leclerc coming second and 10 points for the fastest lap. And that was it.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
So not amazing, not as bad as it could have gone, but he got 104 points. The best person got 189 points. So he ended up about 8,000th, which puts him second out of 3.
That's not bad. Not bad. I'm so sorry, Dre. What happened? Man's coming in blind at the start of the season. Oh,
it's true. He took the big
easy.
hit. And Verstappen let him down. And, there were... he had more faith in Mercedes, I think. He thought...
Yeah.
He saw sandbags that have still yet to be...
Yeah. They have not been de-sandbagged yet.
Not yet. Okay. So... You will notice there are a couple of asterisks on the leaderboard now, and that's because I've introduced a new element that we've discussed called hard mode. Because as I said, like last race, the first 2 races, they didn't change the prices of the drivers and the teams, but then they did a proper rejig after what we learned from the first 2 races, and the value of our team went up to about 85 million, which is more
That's
than
a
the
little
budget.
bit more than you can have.
That is, but since we locked them in early... it was a very high value team, and Peter didn't have any incentive to really change anything.
That makes sense.
So the incentive is hard mode.
Yes. All right.
If you choose to go hard mode, you have to make changes. And if you make changes, you have to bring the team down under 80 million because the game won't let you. So
I'm gonna make changes. We're getting Max Verstappen off our team right away.
amazing. So yeah, these are the prices now.
Okay.
Purple ones are what we've got. So Verstappen has actually dropped $1 million in value.
Okay.
Everyone else has gone
Still
up.
too expensive. Still too expensive.
Yeah, it's now 86 million. So,
Boy.
cool. So
All right.
happy to let you have at the team now. This is who we got.
Okay. I'm definitely going to keep Leclerc. He's been doing good this year. He's a good one.
Okay.
But yeah, Magnussen and Verstappen are both going to go. I think we're going to do something. We're going to do something different. I think Haas has had its heyday. I think it's over.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Pierre Gasly instead. I think
A 7.5
again,
million.
I'm just going off of vibes. So I think he's going to do okay. I feel it in my heart. I have no data to back that up.
It's the Gasly factor.
And let's get rid of Magnussen and put Hamilton in. I think we got it. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he's going to do okay. Yeah.
Okay, right. That's Hamilton in. So you've now
What do we got? Teams.
4.5 million in the bank.
Let's get rid of Haas and change them for McLaren. I think we can still do that.
Okay.
Not that McLaren's had any good luck. No, I can't do that. Oh, nuts.
Well, you have to do some shifting around.
I gotta do. Let's get rid of Alpine and put Haas. Does that bring it down to the? Yeah, that should.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
All
good.
right.
You're now 1 million.
All right. Okay.
Happy with that?
I can
Keep
vibe
Ferrari.
with this.
So the Ferrari Leclerc.
Yeah, we're gonna keep Ferrari. Ferrari's doing good this year. I think this will finally be the time that we have. What's his face? Sorry, Carlos Sainz Jr. finish a race. He's gonna do good. We got this. Leclerc's done good.
McLaren, a little bit of a risk. They're not
McLaren has
there.
not done well, but I believe in them. So
And
I'm
that's
trying
all
to
you
get
need.
Zach Brown to give me a free car. So I will pick them and defend it.
Okay, well maybe this will be the thing that pushes Zach over the
Yeah.
edge.
Yep,
Happy to
that'll
lock
be
that
the
in?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Some might find that controversial.
go.
Good luck with the Max
All
fans
right.
in your mentions.
Yeah, I mean they are.
He had his chance.
They should know by now. He had his chance. This is going to be the race because I didn't pick him. This is going to be the time he finishes and wins. So
Not
you're
only
welcome.
finishes and wins, but finishes and wins both the sprint and the race.
Correct. I forgot we have the sprint this weekend. Oh God. Yeah, Max is gonna take it because I didn't pick him. So that's how it's gonna be.
Fair enough. Okay, so second part of this,
Yes.
the actual predicting of the race weekend. You're only thinking about the actual race bit. Don't worry about the sprint.
Not the sprint. All right.
Pole position is qualifying pole position and so on. Yes. I should also add, just to remind people at home, if you're playing this for real, you have until the beginning of qualifying to lock these in. Or the beginning of the sprint this weekend. You're doing it on the Tuesday, so you know, if you think people are scoring quite low, there is that factor to it. There's you have no information.
Literally no data whatsoever. That's okay. That's how I play my IndyCar Fantasy League for Jalopnik as well. I pick my picks as soon as it opens before there's any track action, just to see what happens.
Good. You came in to live on the edge.
Exactly. It's not been good, but I'm not in it to win it. I'm in it to have a good time.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Oh, let's do safety cars.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick 3. 3
Okay.
feels like a good number.
3 safety cars. All right, cool.
3 safety cars. Okay.
Expecting
All right.
some action.
Yeah. Well,
Well, it's narrow. There are walls. Russell's going to be on track.
yeah. Well, we got all those Canadians too. You just never know what's gonna happen there. Oh goodness. Okay. Bonus prediction. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go
All right.
there.
Most
places
places.
gained by a driver.
So you
I'm
got
gonna
options.
I'm gonna say 4 to 6
Okay.
because the safety cars are gonna move people up because there's
Nice.
gonna be chaos.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Russell's going to crash into Verstappen, of course, because you don't want
Yeah.
Verstappen.
It'll happen. Oh God! Now this is difficult. Not I have nothing to go off of. I didn't even look up the last year's results to have an idea, but it doesn't matter because we have a new car.
We do.
First place, I'm just gonna say Charles Leclerc. I think he's gonna continue his streak. I think it's his time.
Okay, I would say that's probably wisest. Red Bull will find a new way for their fuel to leak out of their car.
Yeah,
they found two ways so far, so
yeah. Something disastrous will befall them. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second. I'm gonna be controversial and say George Russell.
Okay, yeah.
And then I think Hamilton's gonna be third. I think we've got a Mercedes weekend. I don't have any facts to back that up, but that's just what my heart's telling me. So
I like that you haven't hedged at all on Verstappen. You're like, no, he's not in my team. He's not in my predictions.
No, I have a personal vendetta against Max Verstappen because he replaced every single one of my favorite drivers at one point or another in Formula One. So
Okay.
I was a Jean-Eric Vergne fan, a Daniel Kvyat fan, and a Daniel Ricciardo fan. So it's not been good for me. So
Fine. Well, finally he's paying for it. I hope he
Yep.
feels.
But at what
stings.
cost? At what cost? After last year's finale, I still haven't recovered.
No.
Okay,
I
pole
like that
position.
you've got Russell here though, because Russell's
Yeah.
crashed out of the last two Imolas, so here for the
I
redemption.
think he'll figure it out. It'll
Yep.
be fine. He's got the sprint race to get his ropes figured out, so it'll be good. Pole position. Let's do George Russell.
All right. Wow.
I think he's gonna. I'm putting all my eggs in the George Russell basket right now, and I'm probably gonna come to regret that. Fastest lap. I think we're gonna get Leclerc. He's gonna get the fastest lap.
Okay.
After something will happen, and he will get a clear track. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe he'll be in the lead. That'll do it.
Yeah, he'll end up in the lead somehow. Some chaos will happen during a pit stop, and it'll be fine. He'll get this.
Okay. So Leclerc, Russell, Hamilton are your podium. Russell on pole. Leclerc fastest lap. 3 safety cars, and someone's going to gain 4 to 6 positions.
Yes, it's going to be Pierre Gasly because I put him on our team.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot to check out some. Peter made a specific. Oh no, I think he said Ricardo would be the finish on the podium, but that.
No. Oh no.
Okay, happy to lock that in. I think this is. The thing is, if you want to score big, you've got to go a little weird, because if you're just in line with popular thing, you've got to go for a little bit of chaos. So this could, this could be a disaster. Or
This could go one way or the other way. It's probably not going to fall in the middle somewhere because I've put all my eggs in the exact same basket, but that's fine. We got this. I have confidence.
Okay, well, goodbye Red Bull.
Your time is over. It's done. No more Red Bull. Friendship ended with Red Bull.
I think a friendship might be ended with people who came after you, who once you got rid of the Red Bull Ferrari combo from the team.
Later, nerds.
Never going to afford that again. All right, cool. In which case, that's you locked in.
All right.
Brilliant.
All right.
Thank you very much for that. I guess all that's left is to see how you do, which we'll see in a couple of weeks' time for Imola.
This is the most anxious part of the whole deal.
Yes. Now you have to watch
for
his
my
purpose.
results. Yeah, I know.
Now you have to get F1
Like,
TV.
oh, now everyone knows that I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, the revelation that you hadn't watched was a big one.
Exposed.
But if they want to find all your stuff, where's the best place they can come find you for your articles, for your book, for your Witterins?
Oh gosh, all of the goods. So we'll start with Twitter, which is at Eliz, ELIZ _Blackstock. That's every update in my life will be posted there, including pictures of my cat. The Rich Energy book can be found at richenergybook.com or mcfarlandbooks.com. So If you want to sign up for updates, go to richenergybook.com. If you're in the United States and you want to purchase a copy, go to mcfarlandbooks.com. We do not have international publishing rights just yet, but we're working on it. So you can sign up on our website and we'll get more information, because currently it costs $30 to ship overseas. And I want to save you all money because I wouldn't pay that either. And Jalopnik, I am Elizabeth Blackstock. So you just go to the racing tab. You'll find me there.
Perfect. Good. A well-rehearsed plug. Love it.
I've gotten good at this. I've done it a couple times.
Okay, if you at home also want to write in for the pre-Miami show, you can write to chainbear@gmail.com, put Miami Takeover in the subject line somewhere, guest TBC, because I normally sort that out before we record this and I forgot. So mystery guest.
I can't believe Miami is the next one after Imola.
I know. Have you seen the fake little harbour they've put in the middle of the
It's cute. It's so cute. I can't wait to see it. I don't have tickets, plane tickets yet, but I'm going.
I don't understand. Have they airlifted boats in? I don't.
My husband said that it's like rich people's RVs. You just tow your yacht in, park it, watch from there, like you would with your RV at a NASCAR track. It's just the F1 version, I guess.
Perfect. Well, I am not going to turn up with my yacht.
No,
I'm excited to see it though, because I always like a new track. Even if
it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be something.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, sorting out my predictions. We'll see how well this whole Verstappen abolishment will go.
I keep my fingers crossed.
Cool. And for the rest of you, we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time for the next Fantasy GP Takeover. So thank you. Goodbye. Bye.
Thank you. And bye-bye.